out of it or trying to make sense out of it and draw insights to decide on future actions. But I think there is a huge opportunity for analytics to come into play to essentially predict the future based on historical trends. And I personally view that the technology is available, but I think as mobility professionals, we still have to bring in stronger use cases of how we can really leverage analytics for our own function. I mean, it goes on, there are some, we could predict load, clearly, H1 load, we could predict how it goes. But can we predict a approval or a denial rate of a work permit? Unlikely, or probably yes, but not directly from statistical extrapolation. There could be more to it. But there is immense opportunity, and the more we think about it, it provides options for us to really leverage that to really get ahead. The mobile as a usage, as a tool, has really transformed the way we look at things. There are already several companies offering apps on the mobile. You could have training sessions. It has really widened the reach or when you could access a certain application, certain piece of information, and the ease of access. So that has a huge multiplier effect when you've got to look at information. But the one which is the longest shot and which I like to place my bets on in the long term, provided the ROI is established, is probably artificial intelligence, machine learning, or cognitive. I mean, I'll bundle all of that together. This is, I mean, today where we stand is largely instruction-based data processing. I mean, 80% of the requests most immigration professionals or mobility professionals here get is probably, what are the checklist of documents I need to get for a certain visa? How long will it take for me to get a visa? So on and so forth. Now, all that is easily answered by technology, right? And this is instruction-based. Companies like Wipro, I'm sure, have their own AI tool, Holmes. INSZoom has developed Mana. TCS has Ignio of their own. So they can actually replace the level 1, level 2 support for you. You ask a question, there's a keyword search, it can understand what it is and respond, give the right answer, no inconsistencies, standard answers all the time. This is great. This is really. There is the next aspect of robotics, which Sri mentioned quite a bit, and I think it's already happening. I know of companies which are actually looking at robotics to prepare your H1 and L1 petitions. I mean, let's face it, I mean, 70 to 80% of your work permit petition is probably data given to you by the traveler or the assignee or the manager. You just add the last 20% which is not there. But the rest is just picking that information, placing it in appropriate portions of the I-129 document, perhaps, or the rest of the petition. This is already happening. I mean, and soon you could probably create an H1 at the click of a button, and we don't have to hire those armies or the resourcefulness Sri spoke about during the H1 filing season. We could probably do away with that. But this technology is available, and I know of companies which are working on that, and probably in the next conference we'll hear from companies they're actually implementing it. The L1, L2 support is very doable. But I think if you really go to the next level of cognitive or AI, there's immense potential. I think the two big differences, like something like Watson, what it does is it can make context-based analysis and context-based, it can give context-based responses. I want to go to France, but I also have a trip to Netherlands. Which visa should I apply for, or which country should I apply for a visa for? This can actually analyze based on data and tell you, maybe you should apply for a Dutch visa because it comes in faster compared to something else. It goes beyond that. This is just the first level. At the next level, you could ask, oh, this delays it too much. I need a faster solution. It can sense. It can, by the words you use, by the expressions used, it could probably sense what are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you in a hurry? And provide answers alongside that. That's a huge change in what can come in. I think the biggest beauty of a system like Watson is the ability to process multiple variables at the same time. The human mind can probably process 5 or 10 variables at a time, and we all take our judgment calls based on that, right? Will this petition or will this L1 application get through at the consulate? Simple question. We face this every day. We take our decisions, and the company spends a few $1,000s on that every day. But we are taking our decision based on 4 or 5 variables, as experience, what tools we've mentioned, so on and so forth. But a tool like a Watson or any other AI tool we're speaking on could expand the horizon significantly. what is the context of the American elections, or what's happening at the consulate, are the new officers in the consulate picked up from media items, what is his experience, what is the success rate for our company versus other companies which is available in the market, what does this person bring, what is the understanding of proprietary knowledge or specialized knowledge. Its ability to process all this together and give you an answer saying, I think there's an 80% chance this could be approved, is fantastic. I mean, that's where I think we can actually use the powers of cognitive technology to our function. And lastly, I think expanding to what you mentioned, the talent supply chain or people supply chain, we could add in more variables. A person, somebody like Sri would ask, I need 3 people to be deployed in New York. And some system like this would probably go on and say, okay, 3 people, what skills? Okay, great. Do we have, and based on what logical sequence you decide, whether the skills are available in-house or should you search for a local market? Okay, if the skills are available in-house, what is the, who are on bench, who are not? How many of them already have visas, how many don't have visas? So this whole multiple variables all crunched together to give you the answer, saying, okay, these 3, the best way to do it is hire subcontractors, 2 subcontractors, and 1 guy coming from Philippines. Maybe answers like that await us in the future.
Praveen, adding to that, you mentioned Watson and Amelia. Recently, we had a L1 rejection rate at 70 to 80%. So most of the time, the L1 candidates going for interview in consulate, they don't answer properly.
Sure.
So we started training these people how to answer it. So my other colleague was telling, in his previous company, they used Watson and Amelia, where it stimulate questions, not like a consulate general. It asks questions, and based on that, it'll make you fail or pass. So that before you go into the consulate, it can be stimulated in your environment. Today we tried using human, but it can be replaced by technology.
True. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And again, we're actively looking at using our own internal cognitive intelligence platform, Homes, to be able to assist us in all these spaces. And we've released the beta version of our support for our support desk. We've come up with the beta release of our cognitive intelligence platform, which is now addressing employee questions. And the beauty is it's constantly learning. Yeah. So it's not that we have to now teach it. Yes, we did have to do a lot of spade work in putting the initial intelligence into it. But today, it's in a mode where it started to self-learn and is able to address the employee queries to a significant level, which, gives us the ability to focus more on more value-added work as compared to answering these questions. As Praveen was saying, push-based information is, okay, give me the document checklist and etc. So that's the power of the system which we could look at leveraging. And the example which Praveen gave and which I was also mentioning earlier is, it's moved, you have to move from a point of view of saying, okay, I've got a visa resource available, but to a point where, a solution has to be provided saying, okay, if you need 3 people in New York, okay, you need to get 1 from Philippines, you probably need to hire 1 from outside, okay, and you may have 1 local resource available. So these are the options which are available to you to be able to achieve your immediate need of staffing for the positions that you have.
Just a couple of things. I think while we're speaking about cognitive and Watson and Holmes, fact is that this is already getting used. A big IT company, a big European IT major, has already used Watson and has reallocated 40% of its resource management function. So essentially resource management, there's a need, and Sri would appreciate much better. It's a big jigsaw puzzle essentially, right? You got somebody rolling off a project, somebody else wanted their different skill sets, different personal constraints. It's a big jigsaw puzzle, and probably the best Indian word is jugaad, which finally makes it work. But this company has used Watson because it's a multivariable environment and is able to replace 40% of its resource management staff.
Capability to parallel process and analyze multiple aspects before coming up with a proposed solution is what is the key that we see these cognitive intelligence platforms is going to add value and probably provide far better solutions and much faster.
Adding to that, what Praveen mentioned, when you started processing using Watson and everything, it avoids human biases. One case study I was reading, 2.5 lakhs of resumes screened using robotics. and they screen top 5% successful candidate and bottom 50 rejects it. And once the successful candidate get through the final onboarding, they seen the diversity went up 30%.
Okay.
But if you human started screening it, human bias comes on, this job cannot be done by a female candidate, this candidate cannot be by a North Indian or South Indian. So all our bias comes in manual screening. When technology screens it, the biases goes away, as well as they get a much high diverse workforce in their organization.
True. Yeah,
Much
fantastic.
more objective. Much more objective.
As I said, I think there is technology available. As I still believe that we as mobility professionals need to build in the right use cases to really leverage technology. And then the final bit will be about the ROI. It's going to be significant for sure, because I think organizations still, I don't know, some organizations look at mobility as an essential function for their existence. Some believe it's good to have or nice to have. Some almost use it as an afterthought or as a last resort.
I just need to have.
Yeah, last resort. And how willing is the company to invest money on technology like this? Because this doesn't come cheap, right? This is all what we are speaking about is expensive, unless the luxury Anuj has of having a home developed system. But something like this is expensive, and what is the ROI? That will probably define how far technology goes, because we will soon get to a point of the law of diminishing utility, saying you'll flatten out somewhere, I guess.
It goes back to what Sri was saying in his presentation a little while ago now. He's at a point where they're trying to convince their management on the need to have some of these systems and processes in place to bridge the gap between the operating margins which the Indian organizations are making vis-a-vis what they're making. And it's apparent from that, and we've seen it across the industry, that the return on investment on these kind of systems definitely is going to come through. The point, the time taken to give you the return on investment obviously is going to depend upon the extent to which you want to take these systems to. And nobody says that you have to look at building the best system in the world at one shot. Take it in small steps, so that as you progress, you are constantly getting back returns on your investments.
Yeah, I think we are running time. We open up for 1 or 2 questions, then we'll do a conclusion remarks. So we already have one question there. While Watson and AI, etc., has advantage, where does the panel think this will stop? Do you foresee human involvement not required in the future? Very good question. Maybe I'll take a first shot on that. Definitely, many panel discussion or many organization, the robotization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these things is real. So let's not waste our time on is it real, only a myth. It's a real. A lot of companies started getting, in fact, many organizations are left behind. So we aim to catch up. So let's not debate on that. Let's continue to invest in that, and only which area need to be robotized, which area can wait. That's a judgmental call. You need to do that. Like you mentioned, then what will human being do it? So I'll tell you one example. What we have done it in CSC is middle of the pyramid. What work traditionally has been done pushed into the bottom of the pyramid. Companies like Wipro, Accenture, they have 50% of the resources almost at the bottom of the pyramid. And traditionally it has been done at the middle of the pyramid with a 10 years experienced person. Now we are pushing. And why we could do that at the lower end of the pyramid with 1 year experienced person? Because of tools and automation and process re-engineered, and in book of knowledge where people can learn very fast. Otherwise it take 5 years to learn a process, can be done in 5 weeks. So that's the speed it is driving. Then what we expect in the middle of the people is to drive greater innovation, offering development, customer intimacy, rather than doing a back-end operations, which they traditionally do, because they gain a lot of knowledge. They need to be put in the front of the business to drive innovation, revenue, and new offering development. Second one is when it applies to your own profession of global mobility, don't think vertical. So vertically you have solutioning, you are spending a lot of time. Can I expand my role horizontally? Can I learn the demand management, workforce planning? Can I learn employee retention? Can I learn employee engagement? There are humongous opportunities there. These are very soft part of the organization, like culture, leadership, productivity, employee engagement, everything, which machine will take time to replace. So there huge gap is there. So my request to all of you is like Toyota, when I learned, take 2 process left and 2 process right and learn about it. And start thinking from that. If you only think from global mobility perspective, you become irrelevant, because what you are doing today will be done by a machine soon. So how can I can move up in the value chain, Or I can move up in horizontally in the value chain where I gain. I'm looking for a global mobility person with a lot of workforce planning knowledge. I want a global mobility person to drive culture in international environment because he or she has phenomenal knowledge on international global environment. So one is don't challenge saying that not real, it's already real, and ignore it. Second one is don't get panic. You move up in the horizontal or vertical value chain, there are humongous opportunities there. That's what my request is. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing, with the automation, there are certain things which you can do, and there are going to be certain things which automation will not be able to achieve. Human intervention is always going to be there. You should be looking at leveraging technology to do mundane and routine work and seeing how, while you get the system to do that for you, how do you enrich yourself so that you grow, be it laterally or vertically. Yeah. So that's the focus which we need to have, rather than having a feeling that, what, automation is going to take my job. No, automation is not going to take away your job. Automation is going to make your life more easy and help you move up in the value chain rather than anything else.
Okay. Yeah, maybe next two we'll club it together. Next two is talking about in a very dynamic environment, the technology keep on changing. For example, today for robotics we use Blue Prism or UiPath or Automation Anywhere. Tomorrow something will come. So how do you manage to catch up with the technology in automating? Second one is asked, how do you migrate data from old legacy technology like .NET to SAP? Because data is sitting there. How do I do that when I migrate it faster? The first one is what you mentioned is true. The newer and newer technology, which is cheaper and faster, is going to come. Today, Blue Prism takes $4,000 for one processes, but UiPath is 30% cheaper, or other is another 30% cheaper. So newer and newer technology will come. One of the reasons we are not able to automate it is because of the technology is very costly. Still we come back and say that, hey, doing manually is much cheaper than automating it. Especially 1 year ROI is there. I need to get the ROI today. 2 years I can wait. So in that case, newer technology will come. So the robotics is going to stay. Newer and newer technology will come, and our ability to move faster into new technology is essential. Somebody asked how much time it take to migrate into robotics process. 4 weeks is enough. If you do your manual process, can be migrated in 4 weeks. What is required is a business analyst who runs the process, and Blue Prism is like a technology which is like a Visio chart. You can learn in 1 week. So we can teach you to robotize your own process and get out of that, and 4 weeks is enough, or 3 weeks is enough. It's faster. So what we are going to do is, when new technology comes, we have to adopt it because it's cheaper and faster, and integration wise it is. So that's true. Then data migration, don't worry about it. There are a lot of data migration tools available. No manual intervention is there. You can upload the tool in nanosecond whenever new technology comes. But watch for it, and you should have a strategy, and ROI is very important, and how do you really restore your domain knowledge in the, as we migrate from one technology, another technology is very important. I think, Praveen, you want to add?
Just one point about the earlier question which asked, are human beings going to get redundant with technology, or what's evolving like this? Just a comment on that. Look, I think one of the big reasons why you're all in this room and as successful immigration mobility professionals is because with every transaction, you're taking a decision. With every request for a workman, will I get it, will it be approved or not? You're taking a decision, and you're taking judgment calls. Over years, as you keep on taking these judgment calls, it becomes wisdom, there are knowledge for sure, and wisdom, right? Google has more information for sure, but it may not necessarily have the wisdom what you have built over your years of experience and all the judgment calls you have taken. And because the landscape of the immigration industry, the mobility industry is changing so fast, any technology will take some time to learn. And so you could use your wisdom to, and use the technology as an accelerator or an enabler to take better decisions. You'll have more data points to take your decision, but it's not going to go away overnight, or you're not going to be redundant overnight, that's for sure. And then, yeah, there's a big question of ROI until there's a compelling case. These are big investments, so it won't happen overnight. So with every step you take, every work permit or visa, you got to retain the key tenants. I mean, I only remember Alvin Toffler's famous line, the illiterate of the new world are the people who do not have the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think we just have to, because there's so much happening, we just got to retain the key tenants and apply that for every new situation. That's going to be our differentiator against the machines, if I put it that way.
Yeah. I think, thank you very much. Good questions. We'll wrap it up. The last comment taken from Praveen's comment is, The challenges we face in today's organization is two things. How do I run and maintain my process without, that means execute. I have certain SLAs, I have to run and maintain, I have to meet that. All of us are very busy with that, isn't it? And we miss the SLAs, and we have nice excuses for missing the SLAs. So that is one set of challenges. We spend 100%, and some people say I'm spending 200% of time in run and maintain. That's not enough. Next set of behavior is how do you